My team and I are able to create formative assessments, get that formative feedback from our students, and then move forward with our instruction and tailor it to what they need to help them in the future. The learning outcomes of the literature circles for me were to see how students were doing, number one, with the dialogue norms that they've been using all year in a smaller setting. So how did they do with their peers leading the discussion without me being there to lead it, just being there to facilitate? So that area, that was a win. I feel like they did a great job with that. Then the standards I was addressing along with the literature circles were analyzing the characters, taking away their actions, their dialogue, and their motivation. They're also looking for themes throughout the book that can apply to the universal themes throughout life, and also making inferences in the text. Through their dialogue, I was able to assess all of those standards. So I was happy to see that my students were grasping that. I definitely saw maybe some groups might have been stronger than the other. So it was nice to be able to move around into the smaller groups and see those strengths and weaknesses that we need to work on.
Like what Brantley said, he said that the parents will stick up for their kid and that the teachers or whatever won't say no to them. But I know some kids whose parents have connections to the school, like they'll work at the school board or something. And so I guess students feel like they can do whatever they want and not get in trouble for that because their parents are higher up than the teachers.
So I was able to take the dialogue and figure out who is still kind of struggling with possibly a standard, who has mastered that standard, and where I kind of need to go from this point forward in the unit.
I enjoyed listening to your conversation. As I was listening and just giving you time to think, the conversation just got better and better. I noticed you were talking about the theme. You were taking the theme of the novel, you were applying it to your real life. You were talking about character motivation, what motivated Bob to do the things that he was doing, and then that was taken into people that we know in our lives daily. Then you went into real-world connections. I loved how it started with character motivation, led to theme, led to real-world connections. So I could clearly see that you're grasping the standards that I'm wanting you to learn, and I appreciate your dialogue. Very good.
I chose to use literature circles because it's a more intimate setting than the whole group. Although my students do great with whole group, being in a group of 3 or 4, sometimes those that are a bit shy, they tend to open up more than they normally would. But also in literature circles, they all have different roles. So today we focused on the discussions directors. Tomorrow we'll focus on the connectors. They'll connect the literature to themselves, they'll connect the literature to the world around them, and they'll connect the literature to other texts that we've read this year. Depending on how much detail the students were able to give in their dialogue, helps me to see where each individual student is. In the literature circles, they realize that they're all responsible for saying something, and you see those students that take a leadership role in the group and start out and really dig into the character, or dig into the standard that's being assessed with that question. And those that don't quite reach that they still learn from their peers. They're gonna be learning something through the conversation. When I'm incorporating think time and pre-planned questions with my team, it is so much more on a deeper level as far as getting the feedback, more individualized feedback that I need from my students and where I need to go moving forward. If you establish those norms at the beginning of the year and you continue to practice and go over those with your students, they really will pick up on how they're supposed to conduct themselves in a professional discussion, or in a respectful discussion. And that's something they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives that will be important. As far as their thinking, I was proud of that. I was proud of the think time they gave their peers. I was proud of the students using think time 2 as well to build on what one of their peers in their literature circle said. What I did learn was I have a few students in the classroom that are still struggling possibly with some of the standards that we're really trying to hit through this unit with the novel. And I can see those same struggles in different data that I've been given from those students, but I just want to move forward and continue to try to continue using think time for sure, continue using quality questions, but make sure that I maybe form it in a different way, ask the question in a different way that they can understand better, or dig deeper and figure out some type of other assessment to get them to where I need them to be for these standards. As far as questioning, I'm going to continue using this forever. I don't plan to stop. Possibly in the future, this is not something I ever want to stop doing with my classroom. It's been so beneficial this year, and it's pushed me out of my comfort zone in a lot of ways, but it's been professional growth that I didn't imagine. It's been a good thing.